The year is 1320. A small workshop in rural Germany. A carpenter lifts a drawknife from his workbench. The wooden handles are dark with age, smoothed by decades of grip. The blade still holds its edge, though it has been sharpened hundreds of times since his grandfather first forged it with the village blacksmith nearly 60 years ago. He does not think about the tool's age. He does not marvel at its survival. It is simply his drawknife, the same one his father used, the same one he will pass to his son. It works today as it worked decades ago. It will work decades from now. The blade has been reforged twice, the handles replaced once, but the tool remains the same tool, maintained across generations through continuous small acts of care. Now consider a different scene. A woodworker in 2024 opens a package containing a new power sander. The plastic housing gleams. The motor hums efficiently. The specifications promise precision and power that medieval craftsmen couldn't have imagined. 18 months later, the motor burns out. The manufacturer no longer produces replacement parts. The plastic housing has cracked from normal use. The tool goes to a landfill, joining millions of others discarded after brief service lives. The medieval drawknife served 3 generations. The modern sander barely survived 1 project season. We call this progress. Welcome to the medieval advantage. I'm glad you're here. On this channel, we examine what modern life has quietly abandoned, not to reject the present, but to understand what we may have lost without realizing it. Today, we're exploring a pattern so obvious we've stopped seeing it. Why did tools made with primitive technology last for generations, while tools made with advanced manufacturing fail within years? The answer reveals something uncomfortable about the systems we've built and the values they quietly enforce. The modern assumption feels unassailable. We have precision manufacturing, computer-aided design, advanced metallurgy, engineered polymers, quality control systems that would seem like magic to any medieval craftsman. By every technical measure, modern tools should be superior. They should be more precise, more durable, more capable, more reliable. And in some narrow ways they are. A modern power tool can perform certain tasks faster than any hand tool. A modern drill press achieves tolerances impossible with medieval equipment. A modern chainsaw fells trees in minutes that would have taken hours with axes. These are real advantages. They should not be dismissed, but capability and durability are not the same thing. A tool that performs brilliantly for 2 years before failing completely serves a fundamentally different purpose than a tool that performs adequately for 50 years. We have confused peak performance with long-term value. Medieval tools were optimized for something entirely different than modern tools. They were not optimized for convenience. Using them required skill, patience, and physical effort. They did not make work easy. They made work possible. They were not optimized for speed. A medieval carpenter worked more slowly than a modern one equipped with power tools. But he also worked across a longer time horizon with tools that would not need replacement. They were not optimized for profit margins. Medieval craftsmen made tools to be used, not to be sold, and replaced in rapid cycles. There was no incentive to build in failure. Medieval tools were optimized for repairability. Every component could be accessed, every part could be replaced. When a handle cracked, you carved a new one. When a blade dulled beyond sharpening, you brought it to the blacksmith for reforging. When leather bindings wore through, you replaced them. The tool was not a sealed unit. It was a system of components, each designed to fail individually rather than catastrophically. Medieval tools were optimized for longevity. The craftsmen who made them expected those tools to outlive them. They worked under the assumption that their grandchildren might use what they created. This expectation shaped every decision. Materials chosen for durability, joinery designed for strength, finishes applied for protection. Medieval tools were optimized for material honesty. Iron behaved like iron. Wood behaved like wood. Leather behaved like leather. There were no engineered composites designed to mimic properties they didn't possess. Materials wore predictably, failed gradually, and communicated their condition clearly. You could see when a handle was weakening. You could feel when a blade needed attention. The tool told you what it needed, and you responded. Medieval tools were optimized for continuous maintenance. The assumption was never that a tool would remain perfect indefinitely. The assumption was that all tools required ongoing care, oiling, sharpening, adjusting, replacing worn components. This maintenance was not failure, it was the normal relationship between craftsman and tool. This brings us to materials. The medieval smith worked with iron that behaved honestly. It rusted if neglected, so you learned to oil it. It dulled with use, so you learned to sharpen it. It could chip if misused, so you learned proper technique. These limitations were features, not flaws. They created feedback loops that taught proper care. They aged gracefully, developing patina, conforming to use patterns, becoming more personal over time. Modern tools increasingly use materials that hide their condition. Plastic housings crack suddenly rather than wearing gradually. Composite handles fail without warning. Engineered alloys corrode invisibly until structural integrity collapses. These materials were chosen for manufacturing convenience, cost reduction, and surface appearance. They were not chosen for honest communication with the user. The result is tools that work perfectly until they don't, then fail completely, suddenly, irreparably. Medieval materials aged. Modern materials simply break. There is wisdom in materials that show their wear. The difference between repair culture and replacement culture reveals something profound about how societies relate to the physical world. Medieval people assumed tools would break. This wasn't pessimism. It was realism built into every aspect of how tools were designed and used. A broken handle was not a crisis. It was an expected event with an expected response. You carved a new handle, fitted it, and continued working. The skill to make this repair was widespread. The materials were locally available. The knowledge passed through families and communities as naturally as language. Every tool was designed so that its owner could fix it. Wooden components could be shaped with other wooden tools. Metal parts could be reforged by any competent blacksmith. Leather bindings could be replaced with locally tanned hides. Nothing required specialized factories, proprietary parts, or expert technicians from distant cities. This repairability distributed power broadly. Every craftsman was also a maintainer of his own equipment. Dependency on external systems was minimal. Modern tools have inverted this relationship entirely. Open a broken power tool today, and you'll find sealed components, proprietary fasteners, circuits designed to be replaced as units rather than repaired as systems. Even if you diagnose the problem, replacement parts may not exist. Even if parts exist, installing them may require specialized equipment. The knowledge to repair has been systematically removed from ordinary users. This is not accidental. It's designed. When repair becomes impossible, replacement becomes mandatory. When replacement becomes mandatory, sales become perpetual. The business model depends on failure. We call this planned obsolescence, and we've accepted it as normal. But it represents a fundamental shift in the relationship between humans and their tools. Medieval, craftsmen owned their tools completely, including the knowledge to maintain them. Modern consumers own only the temporary right to use objects they cannot understand, cannot fix, and must replace on schedules they do not control. Time horizons explain why these two systems produce such different tools. A medieval blacksmith who forged a poor axe would be known for it, not for a week, not for a year, for decades. His reputation would follow him through his entire working life. His children might inherit the stigma. The community's memory was long, and failure was expensive in ways that lasted generations. This created powerful incentives for quality. You didn't cut corners because the short-term savings weren't worth the long-term reputational cost. You built tools that would still perform decades later because those tools would still be connected to your name decades later. Modern manufacturing operates on precisely opposite incentives. Corporations report quarterly. Executives rotate every few years. Product lines are discontinued and replaced constantly. By the time a tool fails, the people who designed it have moved to other companies, other industries, other concerns. The feedback loop between quality and reputation has been severed. A product that fails after 2 years is not a failure if the warranty expires after 1. A product designed to become obsolete is not a flaw if obsolescence drives replacement purchases. A product that cannot be repaired is not a problem if repair was never intended. The system rewards disposability, so disposability is what we get. Tools reflect the values of the systems that create them. Medieval systems valued continuity, reputation, and long-term thinking. The tools produced by those systems embodied those values: durable, repairable, designed for generations. Modern systems value growth, consumption, and short-term returns. The tools produced by these systems embody those values: disposable, unrepairable, designed for replacement cycles. This is not a conspiracy. It's not evil. It's simply alignment. Systems produce what they're designed to produce. There is a psychological dimension to this that we rarely discuss. When your tools are durable, you develop a different relationship with them. You learn their specific qualities. You adapt your technique to their characteristics. You invest time in mastering them, because that investment will pay dividends across decades of use. This encourages patience. It rewards skill development. It creates mastery. When your tools are disposable, the relationship changes completely. Why master a tool that will be replaced in 2 years? Why develop deep familiarity with something designed for obsolescence? Why invest patience in objects that don't reward patience? Disposable tools encourage disposable skills. They reward speed over mastery, consumption over competence, novelty over depth. The fragility of our tools both reflects and reinforces the fragility of our culture. We have become a civilization of users rather than owners, consumers rather than craftsmen, dependents rather than stewards. Let me be clear about what this is not. This is not an argument that we should abandon modern technology. Modern tools have genuine advantages. They enable work that would be impossible otherwise. They reduce physical strain. They democratize access to capabilities once reserved for specialists. This is not medieval nostalgia. Life in the Middle Ages was brutal in ways we can barely imagine. Medieval craftsmen worked with limitations we would find unbearable. Progress is real. This is not anti-business rhetoric. Markets have created genuine abundance. Commerce has lifted billions from poverty. Profit motives have driven innovations that improved countless lives. This is about alignment. Medieval tools aligned with values of durability, repairability, and generational thinking. Modern tools often align with values of consumption, dependency, and planned obsolescence. We can acknowledge this misalignment without rejecting everything modern. We can question the systems we've built without pretending the past was paradise. Let's return to that workshop in 1320. The carpenter's drawknife still rests in his hand. 60 years of use have not diminished it. They have refined it. The handles have moulded to his grip pattern. The blade has been shaped by his sharpening habits. The tool has become an extension of his body and his lineage. When he dies, his son will take up this same tool, will feel his father's grip pattern in the handles, will maintain the blade with the same techniques taught across 3 generations. The tool carries memory. It embodies continuity. It represents a relationship with objects that we have almost entirely lost. What does it mean that we no longer build things meant to outlive us? What does it mean that our tools are designed to fail, our possessions designed for disposal, our physical world designed for replacement rather than stewardship? What else have we accepted as temporary that previous generations expected to be permanent? These questions extend far beyond tools. They reach into how we build homes, institutions, relationships, and meaning itself. A civilization that cannot imagine building things for its great-grandchildren is a civilization with a troubled relationship with time. On this channel, we examine these questions, not to reject the present, but to understand what it has quietly abandoned. Thank you for watching this video. I genuinely appreciate you spending this time thinking through these ideas with me. If you value long-form, serious thinking about what modern life has lost and what might still be reclaimed, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the Medieval Advantage channel. Your support makes this work possible. In the next video, we'll explore another forgotten system: how medieval communities built structures designed for centuries, rather than decades, and what their approach reveals about our modern construction failures. I'll see you in the next one.